people were talking about Matt Gaetz. Oh, he's going to take over Pam Bondi. Well, that was nothing. It was just a rumor. And in fact, we talked about those rumors over the weekend. I said, that's not going to happen. And he had said, no, he had to leave Charlie Kirk's thing early, but it had nothing to do with going to the White House to take over for Pam Bondi, as was being floated. Matt Gaetz came out on his new TV show. Everybody wants to be on TV. What's the deal? I say this as someone who's worked in TV forever. It's not that great. Anyway, Matt Gaetz came out on his TV show and he gave a very big endorsement for Pam, which is important to see. Watch.
President Trump never stopped building a business empire, a media empire, a political empire. We believe he has exactly the team to maximize success. Let's start with Pam Bondi. The Attorney General always takes a lot of flack in any administration, but look at what she has accomplished. The Bondi team successfully litigated away the judicial coup of nationwide injunctions. They did that. They won that for us. They have created the legal infrastructure for highly effective deportations. She's got the cartels self-deporting. She has targeted the criminals and the gang networks. Attorney General Pam Bondi is a star and has our full admiration and support. To those who don't share my enthusiasm, look at how far we've come. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is the
I'm just going to say something funny. Why does he always say our support? Is it like you and your network? I mean, your support, right? All right, just to clarify, just so we get what he's saying.
And Hillary Clinton got away with everything. The statute of limitations is passed to hold her accountable. Thanks, Jeff. He got the unceremonious beating he deserved on the way out the door from Senator Tommy Tuberville. After Sessions, we got Bill Barr. AG Barr is the reason legitimate questions about the 2020 election went uninvestigated by the Department of Justice. I personally know of cases Bill Barr shut down that related to voter fraud that could have told us a lot more about the networks and the people who are trying to destabilize.
Okay, so he goes on about all the people he doesn't like, and then back to Pam, why she's the bomb.
General Donald Trump has had by a factor of 10,000. And anyone who disagrees with me is welcome to come on this show and choose their fighter. Which Trump AG would you replace Pam Bondi with? Barr? Sessions? Rosen? She's the best, and we appreciate her service.
So MAGA's coming back to earth, okay? So Matt Gaetz coming out with a big, big endorsement. And this is not going unnoticed by MSNBC and the New York Times and others. They're all kind of finding it funny. I mean, I'm glad. Again, it's important for the movement that we kind of keep our eye on a target. Well, simultaneously, maybe like slightly pressuring, right, the administration to give more. But here's MSNBC reacting to all of it.
Contributor, your colleague, Jeremy, and I have to note you were laughing at some of those sound pieces from conservatives. Your colleague, Sean McCreesh, called this a Mobius strip of paranoia and distrust within the base. What do you make of what you're hearing? And just because folks like Charlie Kirk are now saying, hey, let this go, are true believers going to do it?
So this is a moment of sincere political urgency for Trump. Back in 2021, his lead pollster, Tony Fabrizio, did a survey of the Republican electorate and found that there were a full 10% of the Republican voters who said that they believed in QAnon conspiracy theories. So the political fallout potential here is very real. That's why the White House has, and President Trump himself, have been leaning on conservative influencers like Charlie Kirk. The fact that Dinesh D'Souza, who has fanned so many outrageous lies about the stolen election, about Obama's birth certificate, he's saying back off this. That really shows you that the influencers are falling in line. That doesn't mean, however...
How does that happen?
Well, it happens because a very angry president of the United States gets on the phone and yells at you. Or people from the White House really turn up the heat, which we know is exactly what's happening in this case. But that doesn't mean that the average voter, the MAGA moms and dads, are just going to forget and move on. Because for years they were told, elect Trump, elect MAGA Republicans, and we won't lie to you. We will get to the bottom of all of these cover-ups that have disenfranchised you, that have put these powerful people in positions to abuse their authority and to, do the most egregious, unimaginable things possible, like sexually abuse children.
Okay. So you get the idea, right? Like, they're going to use this movement and this moment to try to destabilize the GOP, period. That's just exactly where they're going. And, is Pam helping them? Probably not. Meanwhile, here's my question. What about Acosta? Okay? I'm not talking Jim. I'm talking Alex Acosta. What about the guy who was the attorney general back in, 2008, when Jeffrey Epstein got off so easily? According to some reports, including in the Daily Mail, Acosta allegedly let him off easy because he got a call from intelligence saying, be careful, he's one of us, he's an asset, etc. And that is the reason why he didn't punish him the way he should have been punished. Wow. So why is no one talking to Alex Acosta, right? That's what I would like to know. And I'm not the only one who wants to know that. Somebody else brought this up recently. I think it was on War Room, actually. Let's go over to a gentleman who used to work over at State and who's been very involved in trying to be anti-deep state. Listen to him explaining, like, the guy who may hold the key here to everything is who we need to be talking to, the former labor secretary under the first Trump administration.
The very last piece we have on this was a formal investigation done by the Justice Department Office of Professional Responsibility, which was supposed to put this to bed. It's a 348-page report. The only disclosure that they have asking Alex Acosta about the intelligence question was a random footnote, one footnote. It's footnote 244 on page 169. And they asked him if he had knowledge that Acosta was, quote, an intelligence asset. And this is all summary description, by the way. They don't give the transcript. And they said, Acosta told us the answer to that question is no. But we don't know what exactly they asked about this. And Epstein wouldn't have a 201 file on it. You can belong to intelligence without being a formal asset. I did a study recently of 10 financial fixers that the CIA had used to fix financing for various deals. 8 out of the 10 folks never had a 201 file, never were formally classified as assets. But there will still be traffic in the intelligence records. And we need to know if the Justice Department even asked, because they tried to put this story to bed by saying, we did this OPR report and Alex Acosta walked back what he said to the Trump transition team, or what he contradicted Vicky Ward's reporting. Well, we don't know that because we never got the transcript. We got a one-line summary description buried in the 244th footnote. Now, that OPR investigation is totally sweeping. All of the audio files, all of the transcripts, all of the interviews can be made public. Now, OPR reported directly to Bill Barr. Bill Barr was the CIA's mop-up man for Iran-Contra. He started his career in the CIA. The Washington Post called him the CIA's fall guy because he blocked disclosures of CIA files. It's very possible that the intelligence angle could have been buried by Bill Barr himself. So in that OPR investigation, get all of Bill Barr's email traffic, because they deleted Alex Acosta's emails on this. What that report showed was an 11-month data gap. Mysterious technological glitch that dog ate all of the Justice Department DOJ.gov emails of Alex Acosta starting May 2007, the very month that the FBI wanted to arrest Jeffrey Epstein, and then Alex Acosta stepped in to stop it. We need the full details of that November 2020 report. Pam Bondi, you can walk down the hallway tonight and get those files and make them public.
Yeah, but she doesn't want to, right? There's a reason why nobody wants to. Again, Alex Acosta, he was the one that gave the easy peasy sentencing where, Jeffrey Epstein didn't even have to go to he's like playing cards with his friends as prison. And not only that, there was a special provision in there that would not allow for him to be prosecuted again. And not only that, not allow for him to be prosecuted again, not allow anybody around him to be prosecuted again, which is exactly what Maxwell was trying to use in her appeal. Because in her estimation, in her lawyer's estimation, it's not fair that they said, okay, well, you're never going to get prosecuted again. And it was an inconsistency in the law. So you have like some jurisdictions, right, where the court is one way. You have jurisdictions where it's another way. And that to her was not. And by the way, I should point out that this is exactly what he thought he was going to get off on. And I told you I spoke with a source, actually his doctor, who talked to him the day before he was gone. And he said he certainly didn't sound like a guy who was about to do what he did. Not at all. And had some pretty, minor concerns about constipation, not to be indelicate. But he's like, you're not worried about that if you get these bigger issues, right? And he thought he was going to get out. He thought he was going to get out because, again, like they thought that the inconsistency in the law was what they could actually work on here. And so for some reason, someone let him off. Alex Acosta let him off easy back in Florida. And we need to understand why. Okay. Like that's a big why. I mean, if we can get there, right? Like I'm very concerned. Like this, I think that they just don't want us to know. I just don't think they want us to know what was really, in fact, the genesis of all of this. And I think, you can put two and two together and kind of figure it out. My gosh.